Leaders, what's going on? Aaron Bolton here with a new episode of Leadership Lockdown. In this episode, I'm speaking with Realtor Whitney Hale. She's a very positive, hardworking entrepreneur, and of course, she is a leader. We just had a great conversation talking about the real estate market right before the COVID-19 pandemic and how the real estate market looks now, about 2 months into the pandemic. I've known Whitney for about 20 years now, and I've always had a great time speaking with her. I hope you guys enjoy this episode as much as I did. If you like this video, please give it a like. That really helps me out. Also, if you want to know whenever I upload and publish new content, then click that subscribe button and click that little bell so you can be notified. If you're in LinkedIn and you're watching this, go ahead and give me a follow. That'll be pretty cool. All right, that's it. Let's start the video. Usually I like to do a little banter back and forth. All right, how do I start the single? Okay, how you doing out there, leaders? This is Aaron Bolton, and this is another episode of Leadership Lockdown. Thank you so much for being here, and I have the joy of having as a guest today Whitney Hale. She is a realtor in Florida, and this is actually a request I've been getting, is having someone on, a leader on, who's talking about the real estate market right now, because there are a lot of questions, and I had some questions before this too, so this is kind of working out for me as well. Whitney, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. How you been?
Good.
As if we haven't already had this introduction between me and you, like we haven't been talking. How you been? How are things?
Family. No, doing good. Learning to be a teacher, so that's been fun.
Right
not
on.
my spiritual gifting or calling by any means, but you know.
Okay.
Great, and the other one will pass kindergarten.
You're talking about your kids. I was Whitney. I was like, I said, okay, all right. So you're not a realtor. All right. Okay, cool. We'll switch lanes. Where did I get these wrong?
Lately, I'm a teacher and a realtor all at the same time.
Oh, that's got to be fun. How is that going? Being a I'm a teacher now of my 6-year-old daughter, right? And by me saying I'm a teacher, I'm more of the assistant principal who doesn't do anything, and my wife's the teacher.
You're there for moral support.
Exactly. If they act up, then they go to my office. You know, one of those things. Yeah. Sit down. Writing a referral. But yeah, how is that working? I know it's stressful for wifey with just the one student. How many of your kids are in school?
So 2 out of the 4 are in school right now.
2 out of the 4. And what about the other 6?
The other ones, you know,
2 out. And what are the ages of them in school?
So the ones in school, I have a almost 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. So
wow.
Kindergarten and 2nd grade.
Yeah,
kindergarten's not so bad.
Right. No, I wouldn't imagine it's so bad, right?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. What type of homework are they getting?
So it's the full school day lesson for their school. So they have more Zoom calls than I do. They're constantly, thank God we have all the computers and iPads because everyone's on an electronic device all day long. But it's not too bad. It let me know when I had to, on a Monday, teach my child how to count coins, and he finally got it. And okay, quarters, dollars, I can put it together and adding them and subtracting them. And the next day, I'm trying to teach him how to tell time and explain how a 3:15 is not 25, but it's 15.
Oh, yeah. So,
yeah.
Oh, my goodness. That is horrible. I know.
Like, that's the next day? Could we have done that next week, maybe?
Right.
But yeah, that's
when you're like, okay, Mia, baby. Okay, so you see that numbers right there? That's how you do it. It's funny how there's that argument of well, we're not even teaching our kids. Some kids aren't even being taught how to read a clock because there's digital and there's only teaching digital. Same thing with signing or cursive, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not that mad at it. I think older people are angry because they had to, right? Because do you remember ever using an abacus in school?
No.
Right? I never learned how to use a sundial. So technology.
We're surviving somehow, some way.
Technology, guys, technology. So yeah, that's kind of crazy. Oh, wait until first grade. First grade, Florida school curriculum is is intense. Like it's Venn diagrams, like they're all, I mean, intense stuff. Not like my level of intensity is Venn diagrams. Venn diagrams. No, but for like I can see how a kid can get that. There's other things like near doubles. Like if you have two numbers that are near each other, like maybe a 6 and a 7, then add 1 to the 7, and then you can double 7, which is 14, and then subtract 1 away because you added it before to the 6. That's in standardized testing. They have to learn that.
New math.
That's new math. Yeah, because we all know that numbers change. That's the one constant. Numbers all craziness. So you are a realtor, you're a mother, you're a wife, you are a busy person, you are on Facebook. I like the stories that you're putting on Facebook, giving some positivity, trying to make some people, give some people a little brightness in their day, a little sunshine. Thank you for that, because those are nice. Even though sometimes I might comment a dumb little joke on them, I do appreciate more positivity.
About spreading joy, especially in this crazy time, uncertain times. But it's all in your mindset. It's all in the attitude. So you just have to be positive, because you can't change it. Here we are. I'm a teacher.
Right.
Do I wish I could change it? Yes, but here we are.
I'm a world famous podcaster now. Just happens.
It's crazy. It's crazy what this quarantine has done. It's
gonna make you or break it. So you are in real estate. There's a question. Let me bust out with this question. I think I asked it. I forget if I did. Is it, and this is pure ignorance on my part, is it a realtor or a real estate agent? I don't.
It all depends. I'm a part of the National Association of Realtors, so I am a realtor. But my license itself, I'm a broker associate. I'm not a sales associate, but a broker associate. My first 2 years of having my license, I was a sales associate, and then took testing to become a broker associate. So at this point in my career, I could open my own brokerage if I wanted to.
Oh, very good. That might be the next thing that the quarantine, brings out.
Never know.
I'm a teacher. Might as well just open up my own firm now.
Yeah.
Are they called firms?
Yeah.
Sure. We'll go with that.
Yes.
Awesome.
Good.
So tell us a little bit, if you could, of how you got into real estate, and then we'll kind of build from there.
Yeah. So prior to getting my license, I've done mortgage loans. I was in lending, banking, finance. So I've had that background. At that point, we only had one child. I was expecting number 2, and I just knew if I wanted to be a more involved mom, I couldn't do 50 hours a week, 40 hours a week. I needed to be able to have a more flexible schedule. A friend of mine said, let's do it. We can do it. And studied, took the test, got my license, and went all in. Had the support of my husband to just go for it. The blessing I had is all of the knowledge that I had acquired over the years in lending and finance. A lot of realtors don't have that. They know the market, they know housing, but when it comes to that portion, they can't really advise the client and just rely heavily on their mortgage lenders, which I still do. And I have terrific partners that we work with. But having that knowledge, I can also have those conversations and sometimes just translate from what the lender is telling them to layman's terms for them to understand on what's going on in the process. That was about 5 years ago this month.
Oh,
and
awesome.
I haven't turned back. Yeah, I love every minute of it. About 2.5 years ago, I convinced my husband. I was using him as my assistant, but I needed him to do more things that required you to have a license. So I said, why don't you get your license? Because I need you to open lock boxes. I need help. And he got his license. We developed a team, and we work as a husband and wife team.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. Rise and I were just talking last week about being able to do a business together. And immediately it was like, no, we could. She would get.
The first year was a lot of growing pains. And you really learn that, for me, I was already in it. I knew it was a business. I knew you had to run it as a business. What you put into it, you get into it. And I'm very structured and organized, and I map out my days, and he's just kind of fly by the seat, let's go with it. So
I love Tad. I love
that. Matched very well in this But it was just at one point we just had to have a conversation, and it said, these are my strengths. He recognized these are his strengths. These are his weaknesses, which in turn were my strengths. You do this, I do this, we'll meet in the middle. And it's been good ever since. And sometimes you have to kind of raise your hand and say, this isn't wife talking. This is, I apologize about that. This isn't wife talking. This is your business partner. And just knowing where that separation is. But I think we've gotten a good flow with it now. It's a family affair.
You should mix it up one day and just say, this is your business this is your business partner, not your wife. You should really clean the dishes. Just kind of like,
throw them off.
Yeah, throw a little off. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the housing market. Housing market, real estate market. What's the correct terminology?
Both.
Cool.
I would say real estate market more than anything.
Okay, so the real estate market right before COVID, and I started, I like to, track the value of my home, on Zillow or whatever. And I know that those are arbitrary numbers, but but I like to take a look at it. And right now my house is worth almost double than what I bought it in 2010, which is, I was getting, friends of ours were selling their houses, which kind of made me wonder, all right, well, if it is a seller's market right now and you sell your house, don't you have to go buy another house? So, but I was looking at that. I haven't looked back on there to see it, but it looked like the housing market was doing pretty good. It looked like it was.
Did. And that's a lot of people, the moment this hit, were kind of doom and gloom, like this was back to 2008, and the market's going to crash. But it's not. Interest rates, I just read an article earlier this morning, are the lowest they've been in almost 50 years at 3.23%.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yes, and it depends market to market. I'm over on the West Coast in the Melbourne, Brevard County area. And we cover all of Brevard County. So it really, Brevard County is so long and so big, every area is different on how it's going. But as a whole, we're doing well. Property values have not declined. We're not going to see, and they're not predicting us to see a big shoot up, but they're going to continue to rise. It is a bit of a seller's market right now. Inventory's low, but we're seeing more and more people realizing we have so many other ways of marketing their home. It took us a little bit to kind of revamp how we do things. And, I just did a listing appointment today, and we both stood across from each other in masks and gloves, talking and going over everything. It's just, this is our new normal. Virtual open houses. So there's so many different ways to market the home that the market is still thriving. The caveat to your friend selling his house, yes, you're right. It is a seller's market. How is he then going to find a house? But builders, I don't know about your area, but in our area, we have so many new builds with so many incentives right now, so many deals, that I'm helping a lot of clients that are selling because they're realizing, hey, we can make a good chunk of change. Plus, we can buy our next home, our forever home for some, at a low interest rate and get great incentives from a new build. So you don't really have that same competition when you're looking in that new build aspect.
That's really good to hear. That honestly, my fear was we started. So I was a mortgage broker back before in 2007. I had my license.
You were the it's red, but they make good money, so we'll keep it going. Were you that guy?
No. No, I would only do.
I started in 2008 doing mortgage loans, and I remember when I first started, and I won't name the company I worked for, I couldn't wrap my head around it. Like, this is red. Like, there's not enough money to pay this, but the credit score is good, so I need to approve it. Like, does no one else see that this doesn't make sense?
Oh, no. Well, what about their income? Oh, well, it's stated income. Yeah, but they don't have enough. But they stated that they do. So that's absolutely fine. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I was mortgage broker there. I went to a networking meeting. I only did 30 years fixed. No arms, no balloon payments, nothing like that. Yeah. And that's what I was fighting against, people who were buying these or selling these mortgages that were what is it, 100% loan to value. It was they had an 80-20, 80% of the mortgage and a 20% loan to cover. I mean, it was rough. And then in 2 years, when that 20% hit a balloon payment, then also the interest rate was going to spike, which it did. And I went to a network meeting for mortgage brokers, and somebody was up there talking and getting excited about selling these loans, and they're not going to be able to pay for these loans. And in a couple of years, when the balloon payments hit and the rates go up, their rate goes up, they're going to have to foreclose. And then, yeah, that might be scary, but it's on them. They should be responsible. But don't worry, those are more houses and more loans for us to sell. Like, they knew.
Wow.
They knew. And I was like, and that's when I went, check, please. Like I got out of the finance game. I got out at that time, and about less than a year later, it crashed. Yeah. So I started getting scared, seeing the market go up and continue to rise. I was like, oh wow, things are good. And I was like, oh, where's that shoe gonna drop? Where's that shoe? And then this happened, and I was like, oh, I haven't even wanted to look at any rates or anything, because I've been worried. I mean, I saw what happened with my 401k. So I was afraid of that. So that's really good to hear that hasn't happened in real estate. So there are obviously, there's challenges on the regular as a realtor. What are some challenges on a regular pre-COVID, that maybe you were experiencing, like your biggest or daily challenges that you were running through?
Pre-COVID daily challenges. For me, it was just, you have to just time manage in this business. More than ever with 4 kids. I'm a Uber driver, taking them to school and picking them up every day. So fitting that into the schedule and showing houses, but it was just having balance. I know there's never such a thing as balance between your work life. That would be my biggest thing, but it's just time management, which is now more than ever.
Right.
Also still a challenge, because if you don't do it, you just can't prioritize to get the business done.
And that leads right into my next question, would be the challenges you're running to now. And I would imagine time management would probably still be a challenge, the number one challenge, but just increased.
It is, but I think I kind of, the first few weeks, it's just figuring out what's the new train, what's the thing. And now I feel like we finally have it down, that it's just, my day is scheduled from the moment I get up at 4:30 to the moment I go to bed at 9. It's literally hourly scheduled, whether it's family time, meeting with clients. But actually, above even the time management right now, the biggest challenge is the more thought and effort that has to be put into a showing. Something that would be simple, I would get a phone call on a listing, I saw it, I love it, let's check it out. I'm now basically asking you a health questionnaire.
Right.
Have you had a fever? How have you been? Do you have gloves and a mask? And I can meet you. I'm a hugger. I can't hug my clients. I can't even shake your hand.
Right.
It's the thought process I have to put into not only keeping my sellers safe, because I have someone coming through their property, but keeping that person that I'm showing the home safe, and making sure that I'm staying safe so I'm not bringing it home to my family. We've had to get very creative, learning how to do more digital, more virtual tours, virtual open houses, trying to limit the in-person contact in a transaction that should be all in person. You should be able to go into your house and flip every light switch. How does the fan work? Does it shake when I turn it on? Let me, envision myself in this home, versus, okay, you're in here, please don't breathe too hard, please don't touch anything. Can we make this go a little faster? So it's still trying to give that client and our buyers that experience, but differently. So
Right.
that's the biggest thing, because it takes more time to really be thoughtful, methodical, getting there extra early. Let me Lysol everything and wipe everything down. It's doable. We're doing it. And we're keeping everyone safe, but it's definitely something we never thought we would have to do.
Right. How do you manage those expectations with the client? Like trying to prep them? Is it to a point where they're, well, this is like a month in, a month and a half in, people are more used to it, or?
Yeah. So at the beginning, it was a little harder before it really set in that this is real life. Before even the governor pretty much put the shutdown order down.
Right.
You had half the people that just, oh, this is a hoax, this is nothing, and you had the other half that were, I have I just forgot the word. Compromised immune system.
Compromised immune system. I think
Yeah.
it was compromised immune system you're looking for.
So we had both, and we kind of were in the middle, still took precautions, still gloved, wore a glove to not touch anything, but maybe didn't have a mask on our face. Now it's kind of okay. Even a lot of the calls we're getting now, and how are you doing for showings? Are you showing houses? Can you send me a virtual tour? It's like they're prepared for it and they understand it. And we just take steps to, first is a virtual tour. If after that you really think you like it, then we go through the whole, put on our PPE and we go for it. We let you take a look at it. So
Our what?
Our PPE.
Okay. I don't know what that is.
Well, we don't put it on, just what the doctors and nurses are putting on, their protective gear.
Oh, okay. All right.
But it went, it's gone.
I thought that was like a realtor or, like some real estate lingo.
Yeah.
Just trying to clear it up. This guy doesn't look like the smartest.
We still try to give them experience. We had, I'm working with a couple of first-time home buyers, and, we're literally just in masks and gloves and just still trying to give them that full experience, even if we just have to look a little funny while we're doing it.
So what I like about having these conversations with Leadership Lockdown is, not just people listening to this and not just getting information or getting advice about a specific industry. I think every episode, what's been pretty clear is that you can pull something away, even if it's not from the same industry, that you're not working in that same industry. Because a lot of these concepts that we talk about when it comes to leadership or when it comes to, even management of your time or your day or your business itself, those are pretty universal. And one thing is I want to talk a little bit more about it because it's something that so many people are dealing with and battling with right now. You said now you're a teacher, right? I know it's rough over here. I've got a 6-year-old. I've got a 2-year-old. I'm trying to get things done on my end, which is, like leadership development and coaching, which and it's been up until this point face-to-face in front of large, corporations so that's been at a standstill. So I'm working my side. My wife's a guidance counselor. She's trying to be a guidance counselor from home for elementary school. And I know that just explaining that, you can just take that same dynamic and swap out professions, and swap out new kids. And it's crazy challenges. You and your husband are both in the real estate industry, and you have 4 kids at home. And what are some things that you guys have been doing to, because obviously it's not like all kids in the living room and then mommy and daddy working, right? So how is it that you're balancing, working from home and living from home and teaching from home at the same time?
When everything happened, we really just had to pivot and shift. And we had to just really sit down and game plan. How are we going to do this? How's our day going to be structured? How is it going to look? And we've always been on a schedule, and we just make it so we start in the morning. So we're up every day at 4:30, setting the intention for our day, getting a workout in before the kids are up, getting our quiet time in to really set how our day is going to lay out and just get us ready to go. And we have a good hour to almost 2 hours available before the kids get up. That kind of getting ahead of them is what's helped. And we literally, like I said, my day is scheduled every single hour until I go to bed. And we block out that time that this is teaching time. This is family time. Luckily for us, we can still put them down for a nap. Right. So at least I know I got a good solid hour that I can make phone calls without a kid yelling in the background. And it's just getting creative. In our business, we've always let all of our clients know, it's a family business. As I mentioned before, I stepped away from my job to be more intentional and have that time with my kids because I knew I wanted more. So our kids love it. My oldest can go and show you a house and sell it to you like some of the best. So they want to go on showing. So we tie it all in, because you can't, like you said, I can't tell you just go in the living room, I'm going to be on the phone. You find me sometimes I'm working on the porch just so I can make a phone call. You just have to be intentional with your day and know that it may not go perfect, but I want to make sure that my kids not only know that this was a crazy time, like I never went back to school, I never saw my friends again in person other than on a Zoom call, but I had fun with my family. We ate lunch together every day. We sat at the dinner table every day. And now more than ever, my clients get that. They understand that. I feel like a lot of people now have more empathy, because you have the memes, you have the jokes. I joke all the time. I'm a teacher and here we are, but it's not easy. But if you can't just, I'm trying to figure out how to put this. You can't woe is me. You can't just, oh my God, what is happening in the world? You just have to, like I said at the beginning, pivot and shift. This is it. This is our new normal. How are we going to get through this? Because they still have to learn. They still have to thrive. They still have to have fun. And we still have to work so that we can keep a roof over our head. So it's just being intentional in everything we do and honing in now more than ever. The joke in our house is we've worked harder in these past months than probably we've ever had, because it's just every day nonstop. But we know this is just the season we're in. I kind of, for people who have kids, bring it into when you first have that newborn and you're like, what do you mean this thing is only giving me 2 hours of sleep? And you think you're never going to see the end and you're exhausted and you're just doing it because you know you have to do it. This is the same thing. This is a change. This is exhausting, but we know if you don't keep at it, you're not going to make it in the end, and there will be an end. This is just the season we're in, and we'll get through it.
There are so many things that I really like about what you just said. Just most recently, the season, right? That's really what this is. It's the new normal, but it's the new normal now. Just,
yes.
I think it's, I've had some people that I've interviewed on the podcast, and they've said, oh, it's going to go back to the way it was before.
It'll never be back to the way it was.
I don't know how it could, I don't know how it could. Maybe I don't know what the future holds. Maybe, but I think we've learned so much that it would be ignorant if we go back. It'd be foolish if we go back to the way. We've learned.
Be irresponsible.
Yeah. Yes, that's a good. It would be very irresponsible. I like that. That is coming. Not saying. I don't want to say it. That's a mom way of saying it, and I'll say that's a mom. I heard my mother when you said that's irresponsible. Hang my head. But yeah, that would be irresponsible. That would be very irresponsible. But the other thing you said was the seasons part. I like the season because they come and they go, right? Yeah. It's not a this is a season that we just haven't seen yet, but it's not going to be. It's going to change, and when it changes, we'll just have to change along with it again. So and you said intentional. You have to be intentional, and that is something that that no one's hit on yet. Of all the people I've talked to, I haven't heard maybe the concept, but not that word intentional. It has to be purposeful, right? You have to have a purpose. I'll pass on something else that I heard from Tony Francisco. I had him on the podcast, and he said that because I thought I was doing all right, scheduling. I'll schedule the day. And he said, before I mentioned anything about scheduling, he said, you have to have your processes. You have to have your policies and processes done. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. And I used to build those out for the company I used to work for. Okay. And I haven't had those. Part of the policies, part of the process would be schedule. But if you're going to be working from home, your company has a policy set up for you to work on your own.
Yeah.
Why would you think that you'd be able to work properly at home if you don't carry on those policies, those rules, or set up new rules that work for you? And the only way you can do that is if you are intentional. If you think about it, if you put some time and effort and thought into it. Because if not, then you're just going to be chasing your tail, wondering why you're dog tired and wondering why this isn't working. What's going on. So I think that's a really cool. No, cool is not the word. That's very insightful. That's rad. It's a rad idea. No, that's a very insightful way of looking at things.
Yeah.
All right, so
I've actually, so pre-quarantine going into it, I started reading a book, High Performance Habits. And it kind of studies how a lot of the high performers, what they do that makes them so special, so to say.
Right.
And a lot of what he said, I'm like, okay, I schedule, I make time. But it really, that's where I got well, are you being intentional with what you're doing and when you're doing it and how you're doing it? So that's something that I wrapped up reading that, getting into this quarantine, and then started another book. And a lot of these books have helped just in this transition. Because like you said, you're like, yeah, well, I got a schedule. I'm doing these things. But if you're not really focused and intentional is the only word I can think of, then it's just going through the motions. You're not going to get that same result.
Right. What are policies? Policies are rules, right? That's really what it is. So we can have a schedule all day with no rules, but what happens if you miss your schedule? If there's no rules to it, I missed the schedule, because it's going to happen. But if there's nothing set up saying that you have to hit that schedule, or if you don't hit this schedule, if you don't make these abide by the schedule that you make, then this will happen. If you don't have that set up, then what's holding you to it? So I think having that mindset of it, being intentional, setting up those policies, I think that's really important. So I've milked you for some advice, and I've heard some really great stuff. But right before we end up here, I kind of like to give an opportunity for any other advice, any other snippet of wisdom that you can pass on. And I love that it's all about those little nuggets of good ideas. So I'm putting you on the spot.
You are. And this time, if you're self-employed like me, trying to just keep your business running, you're putting everything into it. If you're a mother, you're putting everything into your kids. No matter what you're doing, you're giving it your all, because you're working with a sense sometimes of fear, sometimes of just the unknown. This is new. How do I do it? Like, there's so much going on right now, but what I think everyone needs is to make sure that just as much time you're putting into everything else you're doing right now, just as much time you're putting into your team, your business, your family, you have to put in time for yourself. You don't take care of yourself, then you can't be of service to others. So that's why I said, we start our day at 4:30, so I can get that time to move my body. Whether it's a full body workout, just a yoga, a meditation, that's my time. My time to come and journal and just have my devotional time. That's me pouring into myself. And if I don't pour into myself, if my bucket's empty, I can't fill anyone else's bucket up.
That is so true. Wow, it's the same concept of on an airplane, if the cabin loses pressure, put your mask on before helping others. That's so true. If you're not mentally fit, if you're not emotionally in a good mental and emotional state, then how can you possibly, if you're empty, how can you fill other people's buckets? So true. Whitney, that was a perfect spot to end it on. I thank you so very much. Could you please tell people how they can get in contact with you if they're in the area, or if they want some positivity, because I think now this is going to be a habit of mine. If I'm feeling down, Whitney, let's do a Zoom. I need to
do a Zoom call. That's the way to go. So I am horrible at remembering my Instagram handle. So I'm actually getting into there right now. So on Instagram, I'm Whitney Hale, BBH for Beautiful Brevard Homes Realtor. On Facebook, Whitney Hale. Find me. Our website is beautifulbrevardhomes.com. But yeah, I'm motivated by others, and I feel it's a calling that I also be the motivator to others, because a lot of people have said, you know, you've helped me through this time. I just saw that video. I needed that uplifting. I needed to know that I could get through it. But what they don't realize is they're helping me get through it. We all go through struggles together, whether it's business, personal, and we're all in this together. So
Whitney, that was perfect. Thank you so very much. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Whitney, we'll see you later. Thank you so much.